Let me tell you the truth about badass world builder Gordon Quinton. McLean.coach. You can subscribe for free for my daily. You receive a daily walking and talking adventure video like this every day at 6 a.m. in your righteous email box. You can subscribe at McLean.coach. There's nothing to buy on that site. All I need is your first name and your email, and I will send you one of these broken iPhone walking and talking mental kick in the pants, if you want to call them, videos every single day at 6 a.m. So who the hell is Gordon GQ Quinton? If you're watching this, there's a chance that you know Gordon. There's a chance you know Gordon very well. My experience with Gordon goes back now 15 years. We have been allies, sometimes private client, newsletter subscriber, student, coach relationship, friends for almost 15 years. I met Gordon years and years ago. Gordon, by the way, is Erie Insurance's #1 producing agent in America. #1, not #2, #1, Erie's #1 guy. He writes home and car insurance, and he writes a handful of small business commercial niches. And he's Erie's guy. And he's #1 in America. What's amazing is 15 years ago, when I first met Gordon at a insurance seminar boot camp in Chicago, Gordon was like I was. I was new to the insurance game. I was broke at the time. I had just been, I just got out of the hockey business. I had been fired from my professional head coaching job. I'd run my own team for a few years, but I didn't have any money. I was just surviving in the junior hockey business as a coach and team owner. So when I met Gordon in Chicago, we had a lot of things in common. He was a former professional tennis player, hockey guy, real athletic guy. He was born in Canada, in Toronto, so we had that in common. We love sports, we have that in common. He was a minor pro tennis player. I was a minor pro hockey coach, so we had a lot of things in common. And I remember how he was struggling mightily in the insurance business. He was struggling to make ends meet. He was struggling in his personal life. He had a lot of the same struggles as I did. He wasn't, he was overweight. He was distracted. He had 2 small children. He was married, and he had a small agency in Rochester, New York. So after about 2 more years, I bought my dad's insurance agency, and I had some early success after the first year of working for my dad in the business. And the first couple of years in the insurance business, Gordon took note of what I was able to do with no experience in the business, how I applied my marketing, my copywriting, my advertising. And I started 2Xing and 3Xing my dad's old agency in the first couple of years. Like, it was significant, even though we were still a tiny company. And Gordon took note, and he reached out to me and he said, "Michael, what would it take for me to hire you for one-on-one private consulting? For you to hop in your vehicle and drive to Rochester, New York and spend a couple of days at my agency. I'm struggling. I'm thinking of leaving the insurance business. I've got lots of challenges in my business and in my personal life, and I'm not having any fun whatsoever. And I'm really thinking of, packing it in and doing something else. And who could blame him? if it's not fun, it's worth packing it in. It's got to be some fun. So at the time, I wasn't in the consulting game yet. I was an insurance agency owner, just like he was. So I thought it would be fun to go study another person's agency. So I named my price and he agreed to pay it. And a few weeks later, I hopped in my truck and I drove from Canada up to Rochester. It took me about 6 or 7 hours. I love those long drives. I love thinking. I love having time in solitude. I don't get to drive much anymore. So I enjoyed the drive up, and it was a great experience, the whole adventure. So when I get there the first day, it was amazing. I went out to dinner with Gordon that night, and I did the 2 days were going to start the next day. So I got there in the late afternoon and we went out to dinner, and he showed me the tennis club and all this other stuff. And we're sitting there and we're enjoying some beers. And I look at my watch after dinner and I'm like, it's like 10:30 p.m. 10:30 p.m. on a Monday or a Tuesday. And I look across at Gordon at the table and I'm like, he's like, do you want another round or whatever? And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, like, as much as I was a professional drinker for many decades, I never ever sat in a bar like that on a Monday or Tuesday. I never, I wasn't married at the time, but I was dating my wife, Krista, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, if I had sat in a bar like that on a Monday or Tuesday, my wife would be like, what the hell are you doing? So it was an interesting, distinction. And he said, well, what else do you want to do? Do you want to go play some squash or some tennis? And I'm like, it's 10:30. I said, I want to go back to my hotel and I want to go to bed. Big day tomorrow. So he's, a little disappointed, and I go back, he drops me off at the hotel, and I get ready for the next day. My suits, my ties, get a good night's sleep. And then the next day, I meet him at his agency. And I mean, he's got a small team there like I did, 3-4 people. His dad's involved like mine was. So many similarities. And I just spend the day looking over everybody's shoulder. Insurance business is no different than the jewelry store business. It's no different than the gym business or the flooring business or the car wash business. It's just all about systems and procedures and all of that stuff. So really, I spend the first day with him, and at the end of the day, we do a debrief, right? So once again, we go out to dinner and we have something to eat and we do the entire debrief. And once again, the hours go by, right? The hours go by, and we're sitting there again late at night in this restaurant. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Like, when am I going to meet your wife? When am I going to meet your kids? When am I going to see your home? When am I going to meet, the most important people in your world? And all of a sudden, he says, it's like we snap out of it, where he's like, okay. And he takes, it's 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. And finally we head to his home, and, we're going to watch maybe the last quarter of the game or whatever the hell was on. And to me, that was like the biggest change right there. That was the biggest tell, is he wasn't comfortable. He wasn't comfortable. I don't know whether it was going home or whether it was whatever the deal was. But I got the opportunity to meet his amazing wife, Marie. I got to meet both of his incredible children. His son, Zach, actually ended up coming to a couple of my hockey training camps when I owned my own junior hockey team. Tremendous kids, and Marie is amazing. And they live in Naples here now part of the year. But, you know, I spent the next day there, and, you know, I think Gordon, like any other person, is like, I need the marketing ideas. I need the sales ideas. If I can just make money, everything else will fall into line. And I remember after the 2 days, I had a debrief, a final talk with Gordon, and he was driving me back to the hotel. And I said, you know, brother, I said, you're an athlete, a former athlete like I am. You're a alpha male like I am. Everything's a competition. I totally get your deal. I said, you know how I've done well in business, how I've done well in amateur and pro sport? I said, everything is a game. It's just a game. It's a game that you can make difficult. It's a game that you can have, you know, become trapped in. You can have a miserable life playing this game. Or you can just look at it and say, it's just a game. Insurance is just a game. Small business is just a game. Selling books is just a game. You know, building a car wash is just a game. Selling life insurance is just a game. You know, running a golf course is just a game. Running a little retail store is just a game. So he told me that that was the biggest takeaway of the 2 days, was that mindset shift. And I continued a little bit with him, and I told him, good morning. I said to him, I said, you know, to me, it's all about building it the way you want it to fit into your life. I didn't even know the term world building. I didn't call it world building 15 years ago. But I said, Gord, I said, everything that I do in Perth with building my dad's agency, I'm going to be doing it for, you know, 15 years. I'm going to be probably doing it for 20 years. But I have an end in mind. Whenever I start a company, I always think, the first thing I think is the big day when I'm going to sell it. When am I going to sell my insurance agency? When am I going to sell the barber shop? When am I going to sell this consulting company? When am I going to sell my hockey team? And then I reverse engineer it back, right? And I build the lifestyle business that I want for the next 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is. But I reverse engineer it from the finish line. I want to sell the agency for millions of dollars. Here's what the finish line looks like when I sell it. Okay, I'm not running a nonprofit or a soup kitchen. I want to build something that I can sell for millions of dollars, and then I reverse engineer it back. That's world building, reverse engineering it. So I said, start building not just your insurance agency, but your health, your fitness, your nutrition, your marriage, your connection with your children, the relationships you want in this world, everything and anything. Your legacy, your give back, your service. And once you do that, every day you get up and you just build your world with a little bit more freedom, a little bit more control, a little bit more independence, a little bit autonomy. And my North Star way back in the day is the same as it is today, talking to you, personal sovereignty. And I said to him, I said, you know, I'm only getting started in the insurance business. I've been in there 2 or 3 years. But I said, I'll tell you right now, I'm already thinking like a married man. I'm already thinking like a guy that wants to have children. I'm already thinking about my legacy. I'm already thinking about the day I walk away into the sunset. And I said, every single decision I make, Gordon, every single decision, whether what I drink, what I eat, my relationship with Krista, the marketing I use, the money I spend, the money I save, whatever it is, it all has to pass the test of, does this fit in my new world? Okay, and I stopped saying yes. He was saying yes to everything. Saying yes to everything. He didn't have any vitamin N in his life at all. What's my favorite word in the English dictionary? No. What's my favorite complete sentence? No. The power of vitamin N. So if you're struggling and you haven't built the world of your dreams, you just got to start saying no to almost everything. And even back in the day when I was just a guy, you know, dating Krista and living in a tiny apartment and I didn't have any money whatsoever, I started using that vitamin N to build my world. And I had this rule where if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And that's what Gordon needed in his world, was a lot of hell no's. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So I give Gordon all the credit for his amazing success. He's Erie's #1 producing agent for the last decade. He works maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. He has an office here in Naples where he has a beautiful ocean beach condo. So he lives in heaven on earth. He lives in Fantasy Island like I do. He's got a condo right on the beach. He's had an amazing relationship with his mom and dad. He's got a relationship with his 2 kids that would be the envy of any father. He has a strong marriage, an incredible secret weapon, ride or die partner in his wife Marie. And the guy literally makes millions of dollars every single year. And he's built his agency from the size we were, like $3 million, which isn't very much if you're in the insurance business. And he's got a agency, Quinton Insurance, is now over 40 million in size. And I might be shortchanging him because that was what he told me a year ago. It might be a lot more than that, but you know, from 3 million to 40 million in a decade and a half or less, pretty impressive. But the thing I respect most about Gordon is there's no silos in his life. And this is where world building comes in. You know what? Any asshole can build and make $1 million. It's not hard to do. You can Google that shit and you can make 100 grand a month. You'll be miserable, you'll be unhealthy, you'll be depressed, you'll be sedated. But almost anybody, there's a blueprint for it to just work yourself to death. And you'll have this money, but you won't have any autonomy or any personal sovereignty. And this is why my wife Krista says, Michael, you're so unimpressed when people have just money. Oh, I've got, that guy's worth 20 million or that guy's worth 5 million, or who gives a shit? I've been around billionaires, I've been around millionaires, I've been around thousandaires. And to me, if you don't have the world building personal sovereignty part, then you're not successful, you're not winning. So I tip my hat to Gordon because he was able to put it all together like I recommend it, where I said, you gotta build a world where there's no doors, where there's no doors between marriage, between your children, between your health, between your fitness, between your marketing, between your vacations, between your legacy. There should be no doors. Screw life balance. What life balance is when you have doors. When you have what Tom Burns, my mastermind friend and neighbor, says, when you have seamless living, when you build a world of seamless living, you don't have to worry about life balance because it all goes together. You know, you're going to the gym some days with your queen, with your kids. You know, you're working 3, 4, 5 hours a day. It's all seamless living. There's no doors. You're including your children and your grandchildren and your wife and everything. And it's almost like it becomes a family mission. So, I mean, tip of the hat to Gordon for doing, you know, what I recommended and making it work. And, you know, he's in the best shape of his life in his 50s. He dropped 40 pounds over the last 10 years. That's not easy to do and keep it off. And you see how he's changed, what he drinks, what he eats. He's back playing in tennis tournaments. He moved here part of the year to Naples. Like you can just see where this guy has been making decisions for the last 15 years based on hell yes or hell no. So it just shows you, you know, that He's another example of what's possible in a few short years if you build it right. That's what, you know, I'm walking here in this gated community in Naples, and I think about this every time I drive through those front gates. I think about this as my society, as my business, as my marriage, as my personal life. Basically, you're building a gated community, and you're the gatekeeper. You decide who's allowed into your gated community. You decide who has to be asked to leave. You decide what gets in and what doesn't get in. And you put a big badass fence or walled garden around that, and then that's your world. And here's the thing about world building, it has to be yours. You know, you don't want what Gordon wants, and I don't want what Gordon wants. And it, you know, it's all about what the hell do you really want? Not what your dad wanted for you, or your mom wanted for you, or any of that stuff. What do you want? You're age 45, you're age 55, you're age 65, you're age 75. You're the same age as my mom and dad at 90. What do they want? What do you want? And then reverse engineer it and build that exact world. Build a gated community where there's no silos. There's a great thing my grandfather used to say. He ran a general store and worked long, long hours, 90 to 100 hours a week every day but Christmas. But the thing about him, just like my dad who ran a general store for 5 years, they never missed anything important. They never missed anything important. So even though they put in these death-dealing hours, they only did it for a short period of time, and they were actually freer. They were freer men because they worked and did business on their own terms than people who maybe worked 35 or 40 hours. Because yes, they could stop when they wanted to, and they could spend time and coach kids and all that other stuff. So my grandfather had a great saying that continues to haunt me every day, and it's simple. There's no amount of success, there's no amount of money that can compensate for failure in the home. You know, the thing that I'm most proud of when it comes to Gordon Quinton is the husband that he became, the father that he became, the community leader that he became. And then, of course, he's had lots of financial success, but I think that other stuff came first. There's no way in this world, if I have a toxic marriage, that it doesn't affect my relationship with my daughter. There's no way if I have a disconnected relationship with my daughter Emery that it doesn't affect my business. It's all interconnected, and when you realize there's no silos, you can't be in lousy shape, over 40 pounds, drinking too much, suffering from digital dementia, but then expect to have a good, strong marriage. Or you can't expect to build a legacy that outlives you when the rest of your life is out of control. It's all together. And some of these goofy gurus who've never won anything in their lives, they talk about life balance. I don't believe in life balance. I believe in no doors. I believe in seamless living. I believe in building a gated community, a secret society for you, where you're the gatekeeper and you're the king. You decide who's in your world day after day. You decide what gets in and what doesn't get in. So that's the truth about Gordon Quinton. You know, people look at him now and they're like, oh, here's this big, good-looking guy, athletic and fantastic shape. He's in the prime of his life, heading towards 60. He's got all kinds of success, all kinds of money. He's got a beautiful, loving wife. He's got 2 outstanding kids, and they missed it all. 15 years ago, he was ready to pack it in. He was ready to pack it in, and then he just decided to become what? A world builder. He decided to become a badass world builder and build his gated community. That's the truth about Gordon GQ Quinton. He is responsible for his success. He's the guy that sought me out. He's the guy that read the books. He's the guy that went to the gym. He's the guy that organized the date nights with his queen. He's the guy that coached his daughter and his son's sports teams. He's the guy that decided on the niches to use. He's the guy that put the postcards together. He's the guy that bought the lists. He's the guy that studied Dan Kennedy. He's the guy. He did it, and you can do it as well. So it's not about just making money. It's all about, to me, doing it on your own terms. Building a world you never ever need to escape from. That to me is ultimate success, ultimate winning, and ultimate power and personal sovereignty and control and autonomy. You can build it, but you gotta build it your way. And every day you make those decisions. If you need some help building the top 1% badass world of your dreams this year, it's simple. I put together a paper newsletter. I've been doing it for over a year. The link is below. If you're not subscribed to this paper and ink newsletter each month, I mean, you gotta be crushing it in every area of your life, or maybe you're just the smartest guy in the room. But this January edition is special because it's my annual Michael McLean State of the Union. And what does State of the Union means? It means I'm going to be doing another list of my 25 new righteous badass rules for world building. These are 25 rules that I believe you need to implement in your badass world this year. One a month, two a month, whatever you want. And if you take these to heart, these 25 rules for building the world of your dreams, there's no question 2024 will be your strongest year yet. And I mean, this State of the Union's as good as it gets. These are the 25 things that I believe we need to be doing with a down economy, with things tightening up. We don't know what's going to happen around the corner. Doesn't matter. You apply these rules and you're going to be living in a gated community where you make your own economy. You make your own money. You make your own luck. You make your own good fortune. The link is below, BadAzzLetter.com. That's BadAzzLetter.com. And it's a 22-page physical newsletter. And I mail it every month to your mailbox, to your door or your office. And if this is the year you're finally going to be, you know, you're going to build a world like a Gordon Quinton, or you're going to build a world like anybody else. It'll be your world, not his. This is the way to do it. And there's never been a better time to start, if you're not subscribed, than with that State of the Union January edition. By the way, you're almost out of time. You're almost about to miss out because I only have a day to complete this thing. I'm almost done. When I ship it to Marc-Andre, my business partner, and he takes it to the printer, it's a hard deadline. We don't screw around. This isn't an email newsletter. This isn't a video. This isn't a digital product. When you create a physical newsletter, a print newsletter, you have real deadlines. When it goes to print, it goes to print. So if you're sitting on the fence, you're going to miss out, because in the next day, 24 hours, I'm going to be done my part, which is writing it. And when Marc-Andre sends it to the printer, that's the deadline. If you're on the fence, let's jump now. BadAzzLetter.com below. 2 words that change my life. 2 words that can change your life. Be relentless.